Hey everyone, so today I want to save you from future you cursing at present you. We're talking about 3 signs your function is doing way too much. Here's the thing, any junior developer can write a function, that's the easy part. What they don't teach you in bootcamp is why the innocent looking function you wrote on a Tuesday will cause a production meltdown on a Saturday night 2 years from now. I've been doing this for 25 years, so let's dive in. Sign number 1. There's an AND in your function name. Check this out. Save user and send email. Looks totally reasonable, right? You save the user and then shoot them a welcome email. What could go wrong? Well, I'll tell you what can go wrong. Marketing wants A to B testing on emails. So now your simple user function is drowning in A to B test logic. Then the database team decides everything needs transactions. Congratulations! Your email sending code is now sitting inside a database transaction, holding locks while waiting for some email service in the cloud. Then, and this is my favorite part, the email service goes down. Guess what? User registrations fail. Even though the database is perfectly happy, you're literally turning customers away because MailChimp had a bad day. Oh, and that admin API where you want to create users without sending emails? Yeah, you can't use this function. You need a whole new one. Every AND in your function name is basically a future argument of reality waiting to happen. So, let me give you a real example. 2019, someone added analytics tracking to a checkout function. Seemed harmless. 2020, added fraud checks. 2021, added inventory reservation. Then 2022 hits, analytics service has an outage, and boom, all checkouts go down. Not because checkout was broken, because we'd coupled different failure domains together, multiplying our failure probability. Cost? $400,000 in lost sales, before we could roll it back, all because of one function doing too many things. So what's the fix? Keep them separated like a healthy divorced couple. One function saves users, another sends the emails, and let a higher level function decide if and when to call both. Now they can fail independently and everything's okay. Sign number 2. You can't name your function without lying. You know these functions. Process data. Handle request. Update user. That updates the profile, preferences, avatar password, and sends 3 different emails. If you can't name it honestly, you don't actually understand what it does. And here's the sneaky part. Vague names are basically your brain waving a white flag. So, why vague names are a confession? Your subconscious knows this function is too gnarly to describe, so it just gives up. Yeah, it processes data, right? Yeah, let's just go with that. And here's where it gets evil. Nobody adds random stuff to a function called calculate tax invoice line item tax with regional exemptions. The name has boundaries, but process data, that's an open invitation. Does this go and process data? I mean, it processes data, right? I've seen 1,000-line functions called process data because nobody would dare add notification logic to something called update user profile picture. But update user? Yeah, sure, throw it in. I watched this happen in real time at a company. Month 1 update user is 50 lines updating profiles. Month 6 also handles avatars, 150 lines. Year 1 also handles preferences, 300 lines. Year 2 also handles notifications, 600 lines. Year 3, 1200 lines. Nobody knew what it did. Nobody dared touch it. It just sat there like some cursed artifact. Every feature request went there because, well, I mean, where else would it go? So what was the fix? Force honest names. Be painfully honest. If you can't name it in 3 words or less that actually describe what it does, then split it up. So for example, before we had a function called update user. I mean, what did it do? Pretty much anything. So split it up into update user profile, update user avatar, update user preferences, update user password. Now each function has a bouncer at the door saying, not your problem, buddy. Sign number 3. You need a notepad to understand it. If you're reading through a function and you literally have to draw diagrams or write down variable states like you're solving a murder mystery, then that's a problem. Your brain can juggle about 7 or 8 things at once. This function has 15 variables, 8 conditionals and 4 side effects. It's like trying to play 3D chess while someone's asking you about your weekend plans. You finish reading it and immediately forget how it works. Does that sound familiar? So we've talked about cognitive load in previous videos, but it's a time bomb really. You wrote this masterpiece 6 months ago when it was all fresh. You understood every subtle interaction and now there's a bug. 2 hours later, you're still just trying to remember what it does. Need to add a feature? Cool. You'll probably break something because you forgot about that one weird interaction between variables in line 47. Junior dev needs to modify it. They introduce a subtle bug in state management. It doesn't surface until production. Code review? Reviewers just hit LGTM because they're mentally exhausted. So let's have a look about it. Let me tell you about a favourite bugging nightmare from 2018. A payment processing function. 300 lines, variable named total. Gets set once, then modified 8 different times based on various conditions. Under very specific conditions, which we only discovered through customer complaints, that total variable could be modified twice during one of those modification steps. Customer called, why was I charged $2,847 for a $28 order? We open the function, we get out actual physical notepads. 3 hours later, 3 hours, we find it. Every state mutation is a bug hiding in tall grass, waiting to pounce. So what's the fix? Reduce mental juggling. Stop making your brain do gymnastics. Keep functions under 20 lines. That's a guideline, not a law. Minimize mutable state. If you can transform data instead of mutating it, do that. Pull complex conditions out into their own well-named functions. And stick to one level of abstraction per function. If you're checking API permissions and calculating discounts in the same function, you're at 2 levels. That's like trying to have a physiological debate while doing math homework. Possible? Sure. Pleasant? Absolutely not. Here's a real example. Before process order function that's calculating totals with premium discounts, validating coupons, applying volume discounts, saving to the database, sending emails, and tracking and analytics. All mixed together. Pricing, validation, storage, email, analytics. It's the greatest hits album of responsibilities. So after we split it up and make everything into single purpose functions, we have calculated order, which is a function that orchestrates smaller calculation functions. Then we have process order, becomes a clean orchestrator. It calculates, saves, notifies and tracks. Each piece is testable in isolation. Each piece has exactly one reason to change. So here's the thing. Once you see these 3 signs, you can't unsee them. They're like learning about kerning in fonts. Suddenly you see it everywhere and it drives you crazy. Function name has and, or is super vague, red flag. Need to take notes to follow along, red flag. Mixed different responsibilities, red flag central. So here's the real why. Because you're not writing code for right now. You're writing it for future you in 6 months, when you've completely forgotten why you did this. For your new teammate Sarah, who just started. For Dave from Ops, who's debugging this at 3 AM on a Sunday. For that contractor you hire in a year to fix a critical bug. Small, focused functions are basically love letters to future humans. They're acts of kindness. So, here's my challenge, right now. Not later, not tomorrow, right now. Open your codebase, find one function that has these signs, and spend 30 minutes splitting it up. I promise you, in 6 months, when you touch that code again, you'll thank yourself. You might even buy yourself a coffee. Because the best time to fix it was when you wrote it. The second best time is now. And the third best time is, well, it's still now. So stop procrastinating. So, thanks for watching this. If it saved you from a future debugging nightmare, or if you just enjoyed watching me relive my trauma, hit that like, subscribe for more scar tissue wisdom. And drop a comment telling me about the most terrifying function. Let's share the pain. See you next time.